I want to talk from the 23rd chapter of the Gospel of Luke, the Synoptic Gospel of Luke. Verse 34, Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. You may be seated. Forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. I want to talk about the danger of not knowing, or the danger of ignorance. Let me see the hands of us in here who are ignorant. Everybody in here. There is something you don't know, and that which you don't know you are ignorant of. Let's look at the text. You know, somebody once said, I know Chesterton once said, name was Gilbert Keith Chesterton, the British essayist, who once said, he that knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Shun him. But he that knows and knows that he knows not is a wise person. You can follow them. Jesus is talking about the religious leaders of his day who were the ignorant ones, the theologians, the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the elders and the chief priests, who participated in his crucifixion. And when Jesus looked at them, crucifying him and nailing him to the cross, he said, Father, forgive them, because they don't know. When a person does not know, that's dangerous, isn't it? I remember I almost got me and my daddy killed when he let me drive one day. And I called myself missing a rattlesnake and swerved the car. And we went from side to side and from side to side. The car almost turned over. We ended up in a ditch because I did not know what I was doing. That's why when I was getting my license, Sister Jessie Rule, when I was getting my driver's license, trying to get them, I went out there 3 times. And every time I'd come back, my daddy would say, boy, you're blessed not to have gotten those license, because you don't know what you're doing. So it's going to take you a little time. You'll get it, but you don't have it yet. And I went out there the first time and couldn't parallel park, knocked the post down. The man got out of the car and sent me on. Next time I went out, I couldn't wide turn properly. He brought me right back to the station. And the third time we went out, I gave out of gas. Now, brothers and sisters, don't take the patrolman out if you're trying to get to that. Make sure you got gas at least. And that man, and we were about 1.5 miles from the station. Car said clunk. The name was Chief Tuzio. I looked at him, he said, what's wrong? I said, I think it's out of gas. He said, thank you for that. That man got his clipboard and went out there and started thumbing away back to the station. When I finally got him, he said these words to me: you don't have it together yet, but I'm going to give it to you. And I'm sure those who would ride at me probably would say after 40 years, I still haven't gotten it together. You know what? It's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. That's the reason I went to first grade, second grade, third grade. That's the reason I went to school. I didn't know. I went to school to do what? To learn. Let us look at the origin of evil. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Let me look at the origin of evil and the different kinds of evil. First of all, there is what we call circumstantial ignorance. That is the kind of ignorance where you are put into a situation, you don't want to be bothered with it. You're put in a situation where you don't know, and then you got to function within the context of your not knowing. These were the Roman soldiers who were nailing Jesus to the cross. Those men didn't care one way or the other, but they got caught up because of the religious leaders of that day who said, let him be crucified. That's circumstantial ignorance. Then there is an ignorance called volitional ignorance, V-O-L-I-T-I-O-N-A-L. Volitional ignorance is when you make a conscious decision not to know. There are some people who just don't want to know. And you can't tell them anything, you can't straighten them. And you just have to back off and let them. Sometimes your children may be like that. You're trying to give them the benefit of your wisdom, your knowledge, and your experiences, and yet they will not follow what you said. That's volitional ignorance. They made a conscious decision not to know. That is another kind of ignorance. It is called arrogant ignorance, where you are arrogant. Arrogant. Now, an illustration of arrogant ignorance, let me turn my phone off and get it off. Thing went off at the funeral the other day. Who is an example of arrogant ignorance? You sitting next to somebody like that? There was a man in 1876 by the name of General Armstrong Custer. Now, he really wasn't a general when he went up against Sitting Bull, but during the Civil War, he was a major general. He was a two-star general, and then they busted him back down to a captain, and then they brought him up, I think, to lieutenant colonel, whatever. And but when he faced Custer, they told that fool, you don't want to mess with Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. That was June 19th, 1876 at the Battle of Little Bighorn in Montana. And they told that fool, Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse are not like these local Indians. Said, like cloud dancing and some of them that run from you. Say, if you go up there, you're not going to come back. And that fool went on with all the arrogance that he could muster. Sitting Bull sitting up there on the hill and waited on him 2 hours before he executed him. And 10,000 braves up on the hill. That's arrogance. That's arrogance. When you look at the former vice president of the United States, Dick Cheney, he's the quintessence of arrogance. Arrogance just dripped from him like a dysfunctional water fountain. He said, Father, forgive them because they don't know. They don't know. They don't know. See, another tributary of ignorance is meanness. And I told you last Sunday, see, if you're mean and don't know, see, information will take care of your ignorance. But you got to work through your meanness to get to it. And if you're mean and ignorant, that's a combination that's hard to overcome. You think I would go to a pharmacy like Brother Jerry Small used to operate, call myself going to write prescriptions, and I mean fill prescription, all that kind of stuff, man? You know I'm not going down there for that. I go in there to get a prescription filled. Mean. Brother LaFavor used to sing a song here, Don't Be Mean. It's a little simple song, but it had profound significance. Don't be mean. When you don't know and mean on top of it. Jesus said, forgive them, for they don't know. And then there is another ignorance called irreverent ignorance, where we don't care about the things of God, and therefore we are turned off to anything that calls on the name of God. Irreverent ignorance. Don't care about the things of God. Don't care about the church. Don't care about the preacher. That's irreverent ignorance. Irreverent. Then there is another kind of ignorance that is called religious ignorance, where we don't know what we believe, and yet we are parading with a degree of pomposity and pontification as if we do. Don't know. And one of the worst things that we can do is to empower people in the house of God who don't know what they're doing. And I must confess, as a leaving pastor, I'm not above telling the truth. I will tell the truth. I'm guilty of it too. And the first thing my successor got to do is to deal with the issue of leadership. I remember some years ago when we stuck it in the Constitution. We stuck it in the Constitution about a criteria for leadership. And one member had a tizzy because it had in there, you must tithe, leaders must be saved. And the leader said to me, you should put in there, should be saved. Should tithe, that's not what the Bible says. Jesus didn't say to Nicodemus, he didn't give him a suggestion, he gave him a mandate. Said you must be. Don't you see, you just got to be born again. Religious ignorance. Now those people with all that they thought they knew still crucified Jesus. Now, brothers and sisters, if you leave church on Sunday and go out and choose Barabbas rather than Jesus, then that shows you that your worship experience has been in vain. See, church ought to change somebody. Somebody ought to leave here better for having come. Can I get some help in here? You ought to be better for having come up in here. You don't want to just come to church. It takes too much to put on your clothes to get here. Now, somebody sitting in it this morning, you started to stay home this morning because you got to thinking about, I got to put on this and pull up this and put on this. You said, let me stay home. And you see, that's the way the devil can mess with you, isn't it? Amen. And I told you last Sunday, and I know the rest of the brethren don't have this problem, but if you come to my house and after 11 o'clock today, hat boxes, 10 hats, you can't hardly see the bed. dresses and all of that. I said, Lord, I know on Friday what I'm going to wear. I don't wait until Sunday morning. I know on Friday what I'm going to put on. And I told my wife, I said, baby, why do you have to put all of these down? She said, well, the Bible says, seek and ye shall find. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. There is an ignorance called finitudinal ignorance, F-I-N-I-T-U-D-N-A-L, finitudinal ignorance, which means because of my human limitations, there are some things I just don't know. I don't care if you graduated summa cum laude, magna cum laude, valedictorian, salutatorian, Phi Beta Kappa Chi, it doesn't matter. There's some things you don't know. And one of the things that can help you in your pilgrimage as a Christian is to be able to say, I don't know. But these men who said, let him be crucified, thought they knew. And yet they still cried out, let him be crucified. I'm limited. And one thing Clint Eastwood said in the movie Magnum Force, a man has to know his limitations. Some things you just don't know. And you got to always keep an open window for the reception of something that you don't know. Or else you're going to die just as dumb. You got to always keep your window open, but put a screen up to keep the bugs out. See, you're not ignorant because you don't have a PhD. You're not ignorant because you don't have a master's and a bachelor's degree. You're not ignorant because you didn't go to college. You're only ignorant when you won't let anybody tell you anything. So there are some folk, not in here, but there are some people. You can't tell them anything. They already know. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And there is an ignorance that grows out of anti-intellectualism. Anytime you give something new that you haven't heard, we turn thumbs down to it. That's right. You can't grow like that. People have said about me over the years, said, now Doc can preach. Now he can preach, and he can teach, but he uses words I've never heard. That's my job. To give you something you haven't heard before. That means I'm an educator. I'm not just an inspirator. I'm an educator. I don't just get up here on Sunday morning, tune it up time I get up. How y'all feeling in the morning? I'm here to educate. And the only way I can educate you is to tell you something you may not know. That's the reason I spell a lot in church. I'm not trying to be pompous. I'm an educator and an inspirator. I want you to know, and everything God has put in me, when I leave here, I hope that all of it will be out of me into you. Then there is an ignorance called chauvinistic ignorance, where because of your attitude towards people of the opposite sex, we portray an intrinsic ignorance. I'm going to give an example. Dr. Samuel Proctor spoke here from this pulpit in 1993. He was then pastor of the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York. He had been president of Virginia Union University. In the past, he had been president of North Carolina A&T. He had worked with Sergeant Shriver in the establishing of the Peace Corps under John F. Kennedy, and he was professor of education at Rutgers University. Had a doctorate from Boston University. Dr. Proctor told us a story that when he went to Africa with the Peace Corps, a lot of those men didn't want electricity. And said some did, a few did, but most of them, we don't want no electricity. And there was this particular woman that started crying. Her husband said he didn't want electricity. So they stayed in that region, he said, another 3 or 4 weeks, and about the second week, this woman came running down the road. Hey, don't leave, don't leave. Said, what happened? Said, I buried my husband yesterday. Say, I spaded him down. I want me some electricity. I had to spade him down. See, there's some things not going to happen until somebody spade it down. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what to do. Let me look just a little bit now at the operation of ignorance, when you don't know and you're operating. See, one of the most dangerous things in the world is to be so busy when you don't know. And there is something about not knowing that makes you busy. You want to be active, messing up, running into somebody, stepping on somebody's toes when you don't know. This Greek word is eido, epsilon, iota, delta, omega, eido, and agnosia, from which we get the word agnostic, alpha, gamma, nu, omega, sigma, iota, alpha, agnosia. Agnosia, don't know. That's the reason we got into Iraq. Bush put us there because of his arrogant ignorance. And over 5,000 of our young men and women have died because of the ignorance of Bush. It's dangerous when you don't know and won't let anybody tell you. Had Colin Powell at the United Nations lying. Oh yes, they got weapons of mass destruction. And then let me ask this question. So what? Don't you have them? How am I going to tell you not to have liquor in your house and my refrigerator is filled? How are you going to tell another country you can't have weapons of mass destruction when you have them? Somebody ought to step up to the plate and say, let us all get rid of this ignorance. Where you can mash a button and kill everybody on the planet. Why is it that we love to expose our glaring idiosyncrasies for public consumption? Joe the plumber should go somewhere and sit down. You just happen to get caught on television. Brother, you don't know what you are talking about. You are not prepared to deal with geopolitical issues. And matter of fact, you aren't even a plumber. And every other word during the campaign, McCain would say, Joe the plumber, and Joe the plumber, and Joe the plumber. Joe the plumber doesn't know. And if he has a wife, his wife ought to tell him, shut up. You don't know. You don't know. My daddy couldn't sing, but he grabbed a song in church one Sunday. It's been a great change since I've been born. Things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. Been a great change since I've been born. Mama didn't embarrass him in front of him, but the kids were laughing. So I had to face that on Monday. And you know how kids can be. Laughing at your dad and your mama. You ready to rearrange some furniture. I said, now, I see them over there laughing. I said, I'm going to deal with them tomorrow. But when we got home, Mama took Dad out on the front porch after dinner. Yes, sir. Said, baby, don't do that again. What's that, sweetheart? What, singing? She said, no, I can't accuse you of that. You did not sing. And I never will forget what my daddy said. He said, baby, if it was that bad, I'm not going to do that anymore. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, all of us, the pastor, everybody else, you got to be open for correction. If you are not open, you will never grow. You will never grow. You will never grow. You will never grow. You know, Bear Bryant said one time in his autobiography entitled The Bear, he said when he was growing up in Ozark Mountains of Arkansas, he said there were people so backwards up in those mountains. He said we were all racist. He said, but there were people so backwards up there that if you said you were a Catholic and you practiced Catholicism, they thought it was a sexual disease. And so they would say, don't get near him. He got Catholicism. Why? They didn't know. And you don't want people like that operating in the public square because they'll blow your head off. They don't know. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. You remember in the 18th chapter, 2 Samuel, when after Absalom, the son of David, had been killed by Joab, two men were in the forefront. Ahimaaz said to Joab, let me run and tell David what has happened. Joab said, no, don't run, because you don't have the facts. You don't have the information. So you go another day, but not today. You don't know what is going on. He said, but I want to run anyhow. He said, you don't have any message. And I say to preachers all the time, don't run until you get a message. You got to have something to say. Don't get up before people talking about, if I just open my mouth, God is going to speak for me. The Bible doesn't teach that. If you don't get something to say, you open it now. Your mouth going to be filled with flies and gnats. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. There was a man named Cushai that Joab said, go run. Now, Ahimaaz outran Cushai. Got there, told David, all is well, and his son is dead. See how we can run in ignorance? And boy, you can be dignified, no bit more know what you're talking about than nothing in the world. Just saying nothing profoundly. One of my prayers daily is, Lord, please keep me from the proclivity and the propensity of saying nothing well. Cushai got to David and said to him, your son is dead. Running without information, running without a message. Church people leave sometime right in the same place, and you get 5 different interpretations of what went on in church. And you were in the same place. Somebody could leave from this sanctuary this morning and go out and say, you know, pastor came in a little drunk Sunday morning. Deacon said, no, he wasn't drink. Pastor doesn't drink. He wasn't drinking. I said, well, I smelled it. I was sitting halfway back of the church, and I smelled it. And then you take it out. And if you take it out, somebody's going to believe it. Because let me say this, not just about the preacher now, even about you. There is somebody who is always waiting to hear something bad about you. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They know not what they are doing. Now, let me look at the outreach. I've looked at the origin. I've looked at the operation. of ignorance. Let me look at the outreach to ignorance. What did Jesus say? Father, forgive them. Forgive who? The secularists and those who were the sacred. The soldiers, forgive them because they don't know. But this crowd at my feet who cried out for my crucifixion, forgive them. Now, I want to shock you a little bit. Jesus was not giving a blanket amnesty. He was not saying let bygones be bygones. Jesus was not saying the slate is clean. Because in order for forgiveness to take place, there must be forgiveness by appropriation and forgiveness by actualization. What is appropriation? If Dr. Osgood said, we're going to have all of the staff, officers over to my house for dinner. Now, the only thing she can do is to cook it and set the table. But you can sit at the table and die of starvation with a table filled with food. See, the only way this thing is going to work, you're going to have to eat. See, Jesus was saying, what I'm doing, Father, is setting the table. That whenever Caiaphas and Herod and Pilate and all of my enemies come in, all they got to do is eat. And if they repent of their sins, they will be forgiven. Have mercy, Jesus. Aren't you glad that our God is a forgiving God? I said, aren't you glad that our God is a forgiving God? I said, aren't you glad that our God is a forgiving God? With all of this stuff that we have done to him and to each other, he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Lord, have mercy, Jesus. That's the outreach. Forgive them. You have to learn, we have to learn to forgive those who have transgressed against us. You can't take this stuff with you. See, what forgiveness does is the same thing when you go on a trip and get back. You need to empty your suitcase. You don't want to put your suitcase in the closet filled with clothes. Lord, have mercy. Preach, Dr. Carter. You preaching up in here this morning. Don't you leave with something wrapped up in your heart. Father, forgive. Whatever has happened, Father, forgive. Now, what you have to do, you have to practice that. And you don't start with a crucifixion. You start down in kindergarten when a student stole your pencil. See, forgiveness it doesn't start way up there talking about my wife is cheating on me. Father, forgive. No. You got to practice that student that stole your pencil in first grade and stole your apple in second grade. See, you got to work on the pencil and the apple before you can get up there talking about somebody cheating. Because if I haven't gotten any prior training, I'm going to shoot somebody. Am I right? You need some training in forgiveness. Some of us, I hate this program. Brother, have y'all seen that called Class Reunion? Comes on channel 48 on my channel. I hate that. You mean to tell me you still holding some stuff when you were in fourth grade? And your hair's white as snow and you still, somebody did something to you in fourth grade? Talk to me, somebody. You got to get over whatever it is. Talk to me, somebody. See, you got to be able to travel lightly. And you got to get that mess off of you. And put it over there where it ought to be. I'm going to put it on you. If you don't like your brother and your sister, throw it away. Throw it to them. Say, you handle this. I'm going to love you. And only way you can talk to me, somebody, If you want to destroy an enemy, make a friend out of it. Lord have mercy. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. I've looked at the origin. I've looked at the outreach. I've looked at the operation of ignorance. Now I want to talk finally about the outcome. I'm just going to teach this morning. The outcome. What was the outcome of ignorance? They killed the Son of God. God in human flesh came down through 42 generations, wrapped himself in swaddling clothes and in the garments of carnality, came down through 42 generations, passed by Abraham. Abraham said, look here, where you going? He said, I'm going down and take care of your situation. Passed by Isaac. Isaac said, where you going? I'm going to take care of your situation. Passed by Jacob, and Jacob said, where you going? He said, I'm going to take care of your situation. Passed by Moses, and Moses said, I'm going to take care of, he said, I'm going to take care of your situation. Passed by Joshua, I'm going to take care of your situation. Can I get some help in here? Passed by Isaiah, I'm going to take care of your situation. Passed by Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel, I'm going to take care of your situation. Hosea, Joel, and Amos, and Obadiah, I'm going to take care of your situation. Nahum and Habakkuk and Zephaniah and Haggai and Zechariah and Malachi, I'm going to take care of your situation. Can I get some help here? But he came to take care of us. But what did they do? They crucified him. But one thing about God, you can't keep God down. Can I get some help in here? That Sunday morning, didn't they crucify him? But what happened 3 days later? He got up. You ain't gonna help me say that this morning. He got up. You're not gonna help me say that? Yeah. He got up. But all power in his hand. Can I get some help in here? Lord have mercy. Forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah, Lord. Long, 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 long. The danger of not knowing. Be open for instruction. There are a lot of people. I got a cousin like that. Can't tell her nothing. And you know what? I've given up the ship. I don't try. She's the one, and I'm looking to hear from her because she gets the news about me. She'll call me, tell me about the bishop up there. No, he died last year from obesity. He had a gift. He'd rub you down with olive oil, and you'd lose 100 pounds, 150, 100 pounds in a service. Now, don't you know I would have some of that oil? And I tried to explain it to her how it was. I said, baby, some things, just like I preached the other Sunday about what to do with life's burdens, there are some things I can do myself. I don't need the deacons to help me. Secondly, there are some things I can't do. I need you all to help me. But there are some things that God can do, but he's not going to do unless you help him. For it says in 1 Corinthians 3:9, we are laborers together with God. And just like this weight, God ain't going to pull no weight off you by no olive oil unless you start cooking in it, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to work with God. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, don't take me yet. I'm prepared to come home, and if you insist, I'll have to come on in. But I'd like to be able to serve you. But he's spoken to me through his spirit and through his word that the best way you can help me, my boy, is to get your health in order. And when she told me that Bishop weighed 350 pounds, I said, Lord God. But I couldn't tell her a thing. And there are people like that you can't help them. Just going to have to let them go. Love them, let it go. Same one that told me that she has a 1975 Malibu. Don't take it to the shop. Just rub it with olive oil. Well, I'd like a little of that oil. I'm not making fun of the power of God. I'm making fun of foolishness. When people don't know and won't let you instruct them. I preached up there at the family reunion in 2000. I won't do that again. She sat there and proceeded to analyze my sermon and was talking about something basically that I hadn't even talked about. And one of the family members said, where were you? Where were you, darling, man? Her refrigerator just rubs it with olive oil. So she wanted to borrow $1,000. I said, rub your pocketbook.